What's up, guys, and welcome back to Will Sports Talk. And in this video, I'm going to list and then break down my top 10 college football coaches going into the 2023 season. Before we start, keep in mind this list is for the 2023 season. This list is not all time. So it's just going into this year. But with that being said, I want to get started. My number 10 is James Franklin. James Franklin, he's currently 67-34 at Penn State, and he's 91-49 overall as a head coach. He has had 11 win seasons, both in 2019 and in 2022. He did just recently defeat Utah in the bowl game this past year. And one thing about James Franklin, not every year, but most every year, he has always had Penn State at the top half of the Big Ten. Now, like I said, there has been some down years, some losing seasons every now and then, but for the most part, he always has Penn State at the top half of the Big Ten, almost competing for championships. But the reason I have him at number 10 and not any higher is because he has yet to get over that Ohio State and Michigan hump, has yet to make a Big Ten championship, and he is currently 4-14 against Big Ten East powerhouses. And I believe if James Franklin can show that he can get Penn State, finally, somehow, get Penn State over that Ohio State, Michigan hump, somehow make playoff. Well, they don't even have to make the playoff. Just make a Big Ten championship game, and you don't even have to win the game. Just make the Big Ten championship game, and you can move up on my list. My number 9 is Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham, he's currently the head coach at Utah. He has a 154-74 record overall as a head coach. He has led Utah to the best Pac-12 record in the college football playoff era with a record of 78-35. He's also led Utah to back-to-back Pac-12 championships. The reason I have him at number 9 and not any higher is he has yet to win any quote-unquote big games. He still has some ugly losses up under his belt, whether it be in the regular season or in a Pac-12 championship. If he can prove that he can win those big games, he can move up in my list. My number 8 is Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel, he's currently 18-8 at Tennessee, and he's 46-16 overall as a head coach. Josh Heupel, he has a winning percentage of .742. Josh Heupel, he's a very good recruiter. He is a very good offensive mind, very good play caller. If you go to Tennessee or if you went to UCF, those offenses were very powerful, very explosive. You always expected to score points under Josh Heupel. And this past year at Tennessee, Josh Heupel also had some big wins at Tennessee. He beat Alabama. He beat LSU, and he beat Clemson in the bowl game. And I believe if Josh Heupel can keep winning like he is at Tennessee and maybe get Tennessee back to where it was in the old days, back to competing, back to winning SEC championships, winning national championships, then I believe he can move up in my list. My number 7 is Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, he's currently 10-4 at LSU. He is 155-65 overall as a head coach. Brian Kelly, he has won 10 or more games in 7 of his last 8 seasons. Brian Kelly, he has 1 BCS national championship appearance. That was in 2013. Then he has 2 college football playoff appearances. Once in 2018 and then once in 2020. And those playoff appearances and that BCS title appearance was all when he was at Notre Dame. And then you have the most recent, when he made the SEC championship this past year with his first year at LSU. And the reason I have him at number 7 and not any higher is, yes, he has made those big games, but he has yet to prove he can win those big games. I mean, that game, that BCS title game in 2013, when he was at Notre Dame, he played at Alabama. I believe the score was 42-14. Gets beat 42-14 by Alabama. And then in 2018 and 2020, in the playoffs, gets beat by Alabama and gets beat by Clemson. And then this past year, gets beat by 20 by LSU in the SEC championship game. So he has yet to prove to me that he can win those big games. If he can prove that he can win those big games, he moves up higher in the list. My number 6 is Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, he's currently 11-3 at USC. And he is 68-13 overall as a head coach. Lincoln Riley, he holds a winning percentage of over 800. Lincoln Riley, he has also developed 3 Heisman winners. You have Kyler Murray. You have Baker Mayfield. Those were both when he was at Oklahoma a few years ago. And then you have the most recent Heisman winner, who won it last year, Caleb Williams. He also was developed under Lincoln Riley. And the reason Lincoln Riley is not higher up on this list, and I've mentioned this multiple times, I've mentioned this in previous videos. The reason he's not higher on this list is because a Lincoln Riley team cannot play defense. And yes, I know Lincoln Riley is an offensive mind. But as a head coach, that's your responsibility too. And a Lincoln Riley team cannot play defense, and a Lincoln Riley team is never going to win any type of big championship because of their defense. Their defense will choke every single time. Now, USC might get to a playoff. I mean, you see what happened in the Pac-12 championship this past year. The defense choked it away. The defense choked the bowl game away against Tulane. Lincoln Riley has got to show that the defense can improve. Lincoln Riley has got to get rid of Alex Grinch. If Lincoln Riley can show that the defense can improve and he can win big games, he can get to the playoff, he can get to national championships, then he will move up in my list. My number 5 is Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney, he is currently 161-39 at Clemson. He led Clemson to an ACC title last year. He is currently 31-8 over the past 3 seasons. And he is 73-7 in ACC play since 2014. Now, that 73-7 record in ACC play since 2014, that just goes to show you how weak the ACC is. Because in the ACC, you really only have, 2 or 3 teams? And then the rest of them are just there. But anyway, keep it going. Dabo, he also has 2 national championships up under his belt. He did miss the college football playoff the last 2 seasons. And he also had his 40-game home winning streak snapped this past year. And he has lost 2 or more games for 3 consecutive years. And that's why he's not any higher than 5 on my list. If he can prove, well, I'm not going to say if he can prove because he has in previous years, but if he can get back to his winning ways and get back to the playoffs, get back to winning playoff games, then he'll move higher in this list. My number 4 is Ryan Day. Ryan Day, he currently has a 45-6 record at Ohio State. Ryan Day, he has 3 playoff appearances. And Ryan Day's team last year, that Ohio State team, hung with Georgia. They were a missed field goal away from beating Georgia and going to the national championship. Ryan Day's offense, Ryan Day is an offensive mind. His offenses are always very explosive. So, very good offensive play caller. And Ryan Day, he is always putting guys in the NFL. He just put a guy in there last year, C.J. Stroud, top 5 pick. And then he's going to have a top 10 pick this year in Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver. So constantly putting guys in the NFL. But the thing about Ryan Day is he has yet to win a national championship. Even though he did play for one against Alabama in 2020, he did lose. And he has also lost to Michigan for the past 2 seasons and has yet to reach a Big Ten title. So, if he can prove that, number 1, he's got to beat Michigan. He ain't done that in 2 seasons. And if he can reach a Big Ten title game, make it to the national championship, he will move up higher in my list. My number 3 is Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, he's currently 74-25 as head coach at Michigan. Harbaugh, he's beat Ohio State back-to-back years, like I mentioned, which has led to back-to-back Big Ten championships. He went 13-1 last year, and he went 12-2 in 2021. Harbaugh, he's recruited very well, top 12 recruiting classes since 2019. But the thing with Harbaugh is he has yet to get over that playoff hump. It's like when I mentioned with James Franklin at number 10, he can't get over the Ohio State-Michigan hump. Jim Harbaugh can't get over the playoff hump. He's figured out how to win quote-unquote big regular season games. I mean, he's got Ohio State's number. But he gets to the playoff, it's like he chokes. He can't do nothing with it. That game against TCU was not supposed to come close to winning that game. But they did. I believe if he can figure out how to get over that playoff hump and maybe at least get to the national championship, don't have to win it, just get there, he will move higher up in my list. And my number 2 is Nick Saban. Nick Saban, he's won 7 national championships. He's got 6 at Alabama and then 1 when he was at LSU. He has a 115-12 record since the college football playoff era. Saban is 37-4 over the past 3 seasons. That is half a game behind Georgia. The thing about Saban is he has not won a national championship since 2020, and that's also the last time Alabama's gone undefeated. And another reason I have him at number 2 and not at number 1 over Kirby Smart is Nick Saban's a defensive guy. Nick Saban's a defensive guy. He's a secondary guy. The defense last year, yes, statistically, it wasn't quote-unquote terrible. But that on-the-field play was pretty bad. That Nick Saban defense had a bad year last year. Especially the secondary, which is supposed to be Nick Saban's specialty. So Nick Saban has got to prove that he can get that defense back to national championship caliber. Which they did. I mentioned a few videos back, they did hire Kevin Steele during this offseason. And I believe Kevin Steele is a huge step up from Pete Golding. And I believe Kevin Steele can help get that defense back to where it needs to be. But Nick Saban has got to prove that he can get that defense back to championship caliber level. And he has got to get back to a national championship before he moves up into my number 1 spot. And then, of course, my number 1 coach is Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart, he's led Georgia to back-to-back national championships. And honestly, looking at the schedule for Georgia this coming up year, he has a good chance to three-peat. If he does not three-peat, I will be surprised. Kirby Smart, he has led Georgia to a 37-3 record since 2020. He is 81-15 in his first 7 seasons at Georgia. He has had a top 5 recruiting class ever since taking over in 2016, except for 2016. That first year that he took over, that recruiting class was ranked number 6. But ever since that 6th ranked recruiting class, he's had a top 5 recruiting class ever since. Had the number 1 recruiting class like 2 years ago, I believe. Georgia, Kirby Smart has also coached 25 NFL draft picks the past 2 years, which a lot of those going to Philly. Don't know why, but they are. And he also has Georgia on a 17-game win streak. And that's the longest since Ohio State's 19-game win streak in 2018 and 2019. So, Like I said, Georgia has a very good chance to repeat. If they do repeat, Kirby is not going anywhere on this list. But that is my top 10 coaches going into the 2023 season. Y'all let me know. Do y'all disagree? What y'all disagree with? What y'all agree with? What y'all might change? If y'all might boot anybody out of here? If y'all might add somebody in here? Y'all let me know. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I will see y'all in the next video.